They're everyday people who choose to live in extraordinary circumstances. A US psychologist claims there are plenty of couples in healthy and happy open marriages, stating that while that lifestyle may not be for everyone, neither is monogamy.
Yeah, she discovered open marriage rarely means partners simply sleep around. Jealousy isn't as big an issue as we might think, and being physical with others leads to a more creative, expansive and productive partnership. Now, we took to the streets to see what you thought of the prospect of open marriages.
I'd have to say no, but I think people are experimenting with it a lot more now than they were 10, 20 years ago.
No. Well, it all might sound good in theory, but when it comes down to it, human beings are too attached to each other. So,
well, I've had 2 marriages that weren't open and they didn't work, so it might work for me next time.
Well, maybe it works for some, maybe it does not work for others. So it takes 2 to tango.
Or 3.
As the case may be. Here to discuss the facts and figures of open marriages is sexologist and relationships expert Nikki Goldstein. Hi, Nikki.
Hey.
I mean, you're currently studying this, right? Yeah, really looking into it. You've been talking to a lot of people about it. What's the usual profile of people most likely to, experiment with this type of marriage?
Well, from the research that I've just completed, we found that the mean age was about 35, and we were looking at people that were working in the health and IT profession. So I think it really goes to show that people that are in these non-monogamous relationships are just everyday normal people.
How often did you find subjects were sleeping with people other than their own partner?
Well, when we asked participants how often they were sleeping with people outside of the marriage, the majority said only on special occasions. So I think there's this big myth.
What? Only on special occasions?
Let her finish.
Well, then we have to define what is a special occasion.
No, Friday night, Saturday
Happy birthday, Kylie. But I think there is that myth that, when it comes to open relationships, people think that both people are just out there having sex with lots of random people. But in actual fact, sometimes for people it's just knowing that they have the freedom and choice. And that's really all that they need.
Now that I have that information, I've worked out the birthday present you gave me last year was lame. Does an open marriage give people a license to, to sleep around, or are there rules attached to this thing?
Well, I think that's another myth, is that there are rules and regulations just like a normal marriage, and people have the right to then develop them how it's going to work for their particular relationship. So it's not necessarily a free-for-all, and I think we need to remember that it's not just about sleeping around, but it's about things like honesty, trust, boundaries and communication, and they're things you need to keep in mind when entering into one of these relationships.
So what does HTBC stand for?
Honesty,
trust, boundaries and communication. So that's my little spiel about, some advice if you are going to go into one of these relationships.
You need to pay more attention, Kyle. Very important information.
Sorry, this would be your birthday present. Wasn't involved. Jealousy, the green-eyed monster. This is what brings this whole thing apart, isn't it?
I think this is
and sleeping with somebody else.
No, okay. Psychologists.
But this is the argument against non-monogamy. Is people are concerned about the whole jealousy factor. So from the study that I did, 50% of the participants said that they never felt jealous, and 42% said that they only sometimes felt jealous. So when we look at jealousy, we have to remember that it's not just one emotion, that it's a combination of things like fear, insecurity, anger, powerlessness. And monogamy is not necessarily a solution to jealousy. So you're just as likely to get jealous in a monogamous relationship as you are in a non-monogamous relationship.
Of the people that have been polled with this, is there anything to suggest that this improves a marriage?
Well, I'm very quick to say that I don't think it's a solution. I don't think it's going to be helping in marital problems. But the 2 factors that we do need to look at within this lifestyle are communication and security. So from the study, it was found that 63% of people said that they had good communication, and 91% said they felt secure in their current relationship. So whether we can say that it's going to necessarily improve a marriage, but we can say that these stats say something very strong.
It's really interesting. We've had psychologists who've sat in your chair and have said no matter if there's a husband and wife who say they both are into it, invariably, one always wants it more than the other one, and the other one just goes along for the ride because they're frightened of what they'll do if they say no. It's interesting.
That's what to keep in mind.
Yeah. Thanks, Nikki.
Thank you, Nikki. Appreciate it. Looking forward to our next special occasion.